a loved one. Often the last thing on your mind is what to do with the home they once lived in.
But several local families say before they could do anything with their relatives' estates, some realtors and attorneys are swooping in to cash in.
7 investigator Heather Catallo joins us now with what she has uncovered. Heather.
Up here in Metro Detroit, some realtors are combing the death notices and property records and then asking state-appointed lawyers to take control of an estate. So is this a brilliant business model, or are they preying on people's grief and confusion?
It's shady. It's really shady.
Kristen Bobier-Rakowski says her late father would be furious if he knew what had happened with his home. When Richard Bobier died last year, Kristen says she had been told his Warren house was worth far less than what he owed on it.
I just was working on getting his belongings out of the house. Just trying to salvage what could be salvaged.
After the foreclosure process started, Kristen and her siblings talked about trying to redeem the house and put it up for sale. But before they could do that, she says somebody else stepped in.
We were summoned to the court that someone opened a probate case in his name.
That someone is Cecil St. Pierre.
Yeah, we need to talk to you real quick, sir. Yeah, we do.
St. Pierre is an attorney. He's also the Warren City Council president, and he's a state-appointed public administrator who's authorized to open estates like Richard Bobier's in probate court.
Cecil St. Pierre appearing on behalf of the estate, Your Honor.
Hold on. What exactly is an estate? An estate is basically everything that you own, like your house or your bank accounts. An estate is also everything you owe, like your mortgage or any credit card debt. When someone dies, even if you have a will, in Michigan, the probate courts are in charge of making sure your heirs get everything they're due from your estate. But if the heirs don't take certain steps when a loved one dies, after 42 days, a public administrator attorney can put themselves in charge of the estate. And that's what several lawyers and heirs say Cecil St. Pierre has been doing in Macomb County at a rate they've never seen before.
This matter is going to have to be litigated.
And he's not doing it alone. A company called Probate Asset Recovery, or PAR, is often paying the $150 filing fee so St. Pierre can open the estates, a practice other public administrators call unusual. Kristen says she had no idea what to do, so she did not fight St. Pierre taking over her dad's estate. She says that meant St. Pierre could dictate which realtor would sell the home.
I was told that was who was selling the house.
Ralph Roberts.
Ralph Roberts Realty, yeah.
That's right. The Macomb County realtor who wrote the book on flipping houses in foreclosure sold the Bobier house for a nearly $32,000 profit. Now, one of Roberts' companies is set to get $3,390 from the estate. But here's what Kristen wasn't told about until recently. Another company, Probate Asset Recovery, is getting the biggest cut, more than 10 grand. So who owns PAR? That's exactly what the judge wanted to know at Kristen's last hearing.
Is there an owner?
Yes, Ralph Roberts is the owner.
That means between both companies, nearly $14,000 will ultimately end up in Ralph Roberts' pocket, while Kristen only nets about $3,100.
It's really not fair.
After Kristen's court hearing last month, I asked Cecil St. Pierre why he's using a private company's money to open so many estates.
I deal with probate asset recovery because they work with Ralph Roberts Realty in order to sell the house on the multi-list and get the top dollar for the asset. We don't deal with any investors or do anything other than on the multi-list.
Well, of course they work with Ralph Roberts Realty. They're owned by the same person. So what is your business?
I don't know who owns PAR. I don't know if that.
They just said it in there.
In fact, St. Pierre and Ralph Roberts go way back, all the way to middle school, and they even once owned property together.
I'm very fortunate to have Cecil as one of my best friends.
Is he your attorney?
He's represented us in the past.
Roberts says he's helping people in Southeast Michigan by finding assets they did not know about. He says he's brought $4.5 million into probate estates since 2013.
You get a third, correct?
25 to a third, depending on what the case is. I used to buy these houses, and I would get 100% of the profit. And I don't need to make money anymore. I want to do good for the community.
It needs to be stopped.
Gary Allen says Robert's company paid for Cecil St. Pierre to petition to open an estate without contacting the heirs first, even though his clients don't want to sell their late mother's condo.
And I called the public administrator almost every day from July 27th through August the 3rd, sometimes twice a day. And he never returned my calls.
Not once.
Not once. Never spoke with them. And so then I was forced to go to court, and my client, who lives in Brooklyn, she flew in from Brooklyn so that she could appear at the hearing.
Allen says St. Pierre did let his client take over the estate, but then he sent them a bill for $892, including $187 in filing fees, even though Ralph Roberts' company had already paid those costs.
I think that's a huge problem.
We follow the law to the T. Dot the I's and cross the T's. There's nothing being done wrong.
I haven't said it was illegal. I asked you if it was the right thing to do.
It's absolutely the right thing. I'm doing great things for thousands of people. I'm getting them money. I'm going to take this across the country, and I'm going to make probate great again.
Since we started investigating this back in August, the state attorney general has stepped in to issue new guidelines for public administrators, and his spokeswoman says they are reviewing these allegations. Both Roberts and St. Pierre insist they are helping these estates by turning around the properties to make money for the estate. They also say if an heir wants to take over the estate, they can. But estate lawyers say you may end up with a bunch of legal fees by the time you're done with that process.
Wow, it just seems so wrong. But how can we prevent this from happening to our families?
The key is that 42-day mark. So within six weeks of a loved one's death, you've got to get in touch with the court to find out your options about how to proceed in probate. Don't let a piece of property just sit there, even if you think it's not worth much. We have lots of other advice about what to do on our website at WXYZ.com.
All right, Heather,
Got to
thank
ask
you.
a lot of questions.
All right, thank you so very much.
Good job, Heather.